you. Uh, Very pleasant to be here all of you and speak with you. Etty,
Yes,
I have a question. May I ask to you?
sure. Sure, sure.
Well, yesterday I was reading Psalm 19, verse 3, I believe, the Pasuk Gimel,
Mhm.
and caught my attention, which says, Yon Leyon Yavi Omer, Velaila Lelaila Yahve Daat, something like that.
Mhm.
I can put in the chat box this psalm, and I put in English at what says this verse. And so I would like to ask you what is the meaning of this verse, the transmission of this verb, this word, speech, I don't know, Omer, from one day, and this revelation of knowledge,
Mhm.
that from one
Yes,
night to another night. If you could explain or say something about this pasuk, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
yes. Sure, I'll just post a Hebrew that everyone will be, yes, will be able to see. Yes. Yom leyom yabia omer, velaila lelaila yechave da'at. There is a difference because, first of all, we can notice that there is like two parts. Yes, the verse is divided into two parts. There is a day part and a night part. So, day to day, yes, Yabia Omer will speak, and night to night will express the knowledge. Now, what is the difference between night and day? What is the difference between night and day, regardless of this verse? Light and dark. Yes. So in the light, what happens in the light? There's a speech. Omer. Yes, like we find in Genesis 1, Vayomer Elohim, Yehi Or. And God said, let there be light. Yes. So the day or the light expressed by speaking or by speech. But knowledge, da'at, where is the space in which knowledge is exposed? What realm it is? There is a difference between night and a day, light and dark. The speech, according to this verse, is considered to be a day in which there is illumination, speech. But knowledge is the realm of the night. Do you see the difference between the two parts? Do you understand it? Or not yet? You can also unmute and speak. It is easy when you unmute and then we can speak to each other. You can ask questions if you wish. There is a night part and there's a day part. You can also unmute and speak. Jill, do you understand?
I had it flipped. I thought that the knowledge would be the day part of it. So, yeah, I would need a little bit more understanding as well.
Yes, yes. So knowledge is considered to be a night, and speech is considered to be a day, meaning in which what is a day when the sun when there's light. So speech is light, and knowledge is darkness. Before we continue, do we accept this paradigm or this assumption that the verse puts in front of our eyes before we start?
May I say it?
Of course.
No, because if you take it, of course, it's not our goal here. But if you take the expression in the literal meaning, of course, we can speak in the day or in the night, and the knowledge at the same. So I try to understand what is the meaning of this. Speech requires light, or there is light inside the speech, inside of the science. I don't know, on in the dark. I can't get this relation
Knowledge,
between.
yes. Knowledge comes from the matters. Yeah, knowledge is a matter. Material, data. Data is what we say it's a knowledge. It's just information. It's dead. Knowledge is dead. Do we understand that? Yes or no? Before we continue. Knowledge is something which is dead. The word Omer, speech, Omer or Amar, saying, speaking. The sages dividing or look at the word as abbreviation. Amar or Omer, Aleph is or is light, or Mem for water, and Resh for Rakia, for firmament. So what is Omer, or what is saying, or what is speech? Amar or Omer, it doesn't matter, because Omer is the saying, Amar is the verb. It is abbreviation of 3 words. Aleph, or, light. Mem, Maim. Resh, Rakia. In other words, saying or a speech is a living, yes, is a living soul. But da'at, very sounds like data. It's a dead thing. Why? We'll take the word da'at, which is knowledge, and we divide it into 2 parts. Know. Da is to know. Yes, and then the time. We say at, but it's it, is knowing the time. Knowing or knowledge fits only when we can check it in time. I will try to open it in a different way. Scientists, what do they do according to their thinking? There is a truth, you can prove things under the microscope. So if they will do experiment in a laboratory and they find out, let's say, something, they will repeat, yes, this experience in a different laboratory or in another, and they would like to see that it repeats. If it repeats, for them, this is knowledge. This is a fact. But this is a fact or knowledge according to the circumstances that they have around this experience or this experiment. Is this understood? Laboratory is a controlled environment. Laboratory is a controlled environment. Speech is not. This is why speech or speaking is considered to be a day. Yes? And night to night will express in Hebrew, Yechaveh. Yechaveh from Chava, from Eve. Yechaveh, Chava. Chava is the Hebrew name of Eve, but also in Aramaic, Chivia is a snake, is a serpent. So knowledge comes from the serpent. From I know, I check it, it has been proven. Is this understood? Good. So, Yom leyom yabia omer. Day to day will express speech, speaking, or saying. And night to night will express what? That, knowledge. Any manner of knowledge, it is considered to be a night. Why? Because it's a dead matter. One second, it's getting warm here and I'm taking the scarves and I have to plug in the headset again. 1 second. So knowledge is something, is a dead matter. We cannot be nourished from knowledge. We cannot be inspired from knowledge. This is why it has to do with the realm of the night. That also in Hebrew is not just knowledge, because the tree of knowledge, it's a dat. But that is also in Hebrew opinion. Opinion. People have many opinions, but those opinions are not light. They're just expressing of personal experience, which is squeezed or due to the day and the time that they experience this. It is personal experience under those conditions. According to this body-mind experience, this is what happened. He or she has crystallized opinion around this experience. Do we understand? That is both knowledge and both opinion, because it's the meeting of the two. That it know the time. Under certain conditions, someone might have this experience, other different. Let's say circumstances, he or she might have different experience and they form some kind of an opinion. Opinion is not an absolute situation. Opinion is shaped according to the circumstances around this person experience. It's not an absolute, it's not impersonal. So, good morning, Fernando. Our friend Rodrigo asked about one verse from Psalms 19, verse 3. Yom leyom yabia omer, day to day will express. Yes? Yabia, from like to spring, like a spring of water. Yabia omer, day to day will spring speech or bring forth speech or speaking or saying. And night to night will experience darkness, knowledge. And Rodrigo asked to open this verse. Rodrigo, can you explain what we just said to Fernando? Can you unmute, or Jill? Let's express. Rodrigo, Jill. Who would like to open this verse?
I can.
Excellent. So please do.
The question was, what was the difference between the day and the night, or the dark and the light? And speech would be the living soul, so it would be the Omer. Knowledge would be the dark or the night, because it's a material and it's dead matter. Like opinions or anything that I guess would be hard to be proven.
Mm-hmm.
But it's speech is the one that's not controlled, whereas knowledge is controlled.
Excellent.
And yeah, and knowledge comes from the serpent. And
Yes.
so that's what I have. Thank you.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Very good. Good that you ask. Very good. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Very good. Shabbat Shalom, Fernando. We're happy to see you here. Yes. And today I was thinking about the names. Yes, the first names that we read of in the Bible, children of Eve, so to speak. The first child, she names him Cain. Kaniti ish et Hashem. I bought a man. Yes, I bought a man from the infinite. And it's not just a man, the physical body of a baby. It's about the cognitions. Once one is noticing that has the ability to think, he thinks that his ability to think is his own domain, or he is the thinker. And as a thinker, there is the world, and there's like two things. Like kaniti ish, I bought a man from God, so I bought something from a third party. And there is, in a way, a dualistic relation. Eve, in a way, express it, while name Cain in his name. Abel is being born, and then Cain kills Abel. And after 130 years, she conceived again. She gives birth to a third child, and she names the child Shet. Shet. She expresses in this way that the Lord had based me with another son under, so to speak, Abel. But Shet, Shin and Tav, is not just from Tashtit, which is based, but if we add another letter, it is like sharing. Leshatef, to share. So there is a beautiful, in a way, change in Eve, or in the human experience, because Eve is not just like a historical figure, sharing. So it means sharing. So Eve arrives to this conclusion that the relation is not like dualistic, that we buy, there's object subject, like which is expressed in the name of Cain, but Shet is from also sharing. So by sharing, and from this name Shet, all the humanity is being, let's say, launched. Shet, and then we have Enoshut, also holds the letters Shet, and we have Enosh, and then we have Enoshut, humanity, from those letters. So by sharing, everything becomes what? Impersonal. By sharing, everything is impersonal. It's not even becoming. By sharing, there's impersonal. There is owning, and then everything is personal or dualistic, like Cain owns the land, there's a land and there's a landowner. And by sharing, there is no ownership. And this is, in a way, how the world is being built, not being destroyed. A beautiful law says that the Holy Blessed He creates worlds and then destroys them. It's not about an entity, because God is not an entity. It's by the tendency to think that we own things. Everything is being destroyed because it's not like this at all. There is an example here in the building. Cat to share. The cat lives in the lobby. She trusts like few people. We don't know who are those people. But whenever she feels like and there's somebody comes, she goes with them in the elevator, and she takes like a rest in their homes. And the cat lives in the lobby. And she decided whenever she wants, if she wants to take a nap, in which house. It also depends of who's coming and who's going, according to what time. Nobody owns the cat. But there is like sharing. There is no ownership of the cat. The cat decides where to go, with whom to go, what the day brings, what the moment brings about. Depends on the weather. And so, but there is no ownership. Ownership divides. By sharing, something very interesting is happening, because there's like dissembling of the ownership. It's not personal anymore. By sharing it, it's impersonal. By sharing it also, it's not just impersonal, but there's no load. Because any thought of owning something, this is my own experience, it just creates a load. By sharing it, there is no load. Because this is the real thing. Because in sharing there is no, how do you say, division. In sharing, there is no, so to speak, me and you. There's empty space. Whatever comes in the space is coming. And this is it. There is no me and you. Like in ownership. So the more people sharing, the less burden there is. Because the sense of owning is only illusion, which comes from the assumption that the world is outside of us and there's like linear relation between us and the world. This is an illusion. The more we share, the more the illusion in a way melts. You can also unmute and speak as you wish. Please feel free. Yes, there is nothing to protect. Yes, Jill, nothing to protect. We don't need nothing. Yes?
Yeah, I was just,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking about all the things that people do to protect everything that they have, and how much money and time is spent trying to protect it. Whereas if, it was just something that was shared, it would be a lot of freedom. It would give you way more freedom to, do more important things, I guess, in your life.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. I was thinking about this in the morning. We are traveling via, how do you say, public transport here. There is no ownership of a car because it takes so much time to take care of it, to fuel it, to change the flat tires, to change garage treating. And the time is so precious, every moment. So we're using public transport whenever it comes. So there's a bus, there's a driver. They take care of the bus, the cleaning, the maintenance. It's like belongs to a company. And you experience when traveling the bus, there's a lot of sharing happens because you see different people from different places and people in general do not like to see, so to speak, the other. So they make a lot of effort to buy a car, to own a car. In Israel, the prices of a car, if the price of a car is X coming from the factory, it doesn't matter which car or which factory. Car, let's say the price from the factory is X. In Israel, the price of the car is 4X, 4 times. There's a lot of tax of having cars, and people taking loans to be able to buy those very, very expensive cars. In other states, it's not that expensive. It's the car X plus a certain percentage of tax, but not few times value of the car. And people take many loans to be able to finance the car and to maintain the car. Not just not to meet the other, to travel with my music, with my space. Israel is very little. There are many traffic jams. There's a lot of load. Everybody's stuck in a traffic jam. And it brings a lot of animosity because first somebody's protecting himself or herself in a shield of sense of domain, and we are amplified by using car is like a body around us, like a shield, like an armor. And then I can hear my own music, and of course today also tweeting in the cars, texting, everything. And there is no meeting of the other, so they can establish like WhatsApp campaigns and WhatsApp groups against other people, but not meeting them, just hating them, because there is no sharing space with the other. So people pay a lot of money, they take a lot of loans to finance more and more isolation and more and more illusion of the self as a separate, different entity. While being in the bus, many people are traveling, and very, very different people, and just okay, just so many people. You're one of them, so it's not special. It brings a lot of also entertainment because so many different people, and there's like sometimes reaction between them. It's funny. But people are running from sharing. They just want to own things, and they think it will grant them with peace, and nobody will bother them. But it's all, I don't know. The more sharing there is, there's nothing, and the nothing is the truth, not the something, that somebody owes a car, somebody owes apartments, and so on. People work so much to have, people work a lot to enable owning things, and then just it brings more and more separation, much separation and load, because I was working so hard. And with the cat it's different, just the cat comes and goes, and there's no need to protect anything. It's very interesting. But the story, or the story of the name Shet, yes, לשתף, to share, and from sharing, like something is being built, trust, and so by owning, it's just more and more barriers and, let's say, walls between people. Like you say, people take a lot of effort to protect their property, and so yes. The more we share, the more we notice we're nothing here, and this is closer to the truth. It is much closer to the truth. I remember I was like traveling to Berlin once, and it was like 3 o'clock in the airport alone. Not alone, but just single person. There are many people at the airport at 3 o'clock in the morning. But I bought I went to the bookshop, I bought a notebook, and then I went to the coffee stand, I bought 2 cups of coffee. I returned to the bookshop, I told the lady in the bookshop, please have a coffee. I would like to share the moment. I'm here at the airport single, so she smiled, she didn't understand. At 3 o'clock in the morning, this is her shift in the airport, who? And I say, hey, I just left the coffee on the counter and I left. And just beautiful moment, you know. I don't know who she is, what's her name, how does she look. I don't know anything, but it was like a moment. It was so warm. It warmed my heart. You know, to be all night in the airport waiting for the flight, and there's a lot of how do you say, security check, and just a moment with like human. Doesn't matter. I don't recall her name. Nothing. Just a moment of this sharing. I was once working in the second shift in school. The second shift was from 12 to 4. And between 12 to 1, the children were having lunch. Part of the parents financed their children's lunch, like, how do you say, takeaway lunch in boxes, comes a catering service. And part of the children, the parents sent with them, we say, warm dish that some people, they buy this cup in the supermarket, like noodles, and they pour hot waters, and that, like, let's say, fast dish. So part of the children, the parents finance catering, let's say, sets. And at the other table sat children that used to bring this noodles, warm noodle soup from the tap. And those were sitting in this table, and the other one, this was the administration that demanded there will be a separation between the 2 groups of children. And the children that they were eating the noodles, they shared the noodles. Each one has a different cup, so they were sharing and laughing, and everything was falling on the table. They never managed to reach the other one. Everything was falling. They were sharing and laughing all the time. And the rest of the children that their parents financed lunch, they get getting chicken and pasta and rice. They were trying to swallow it. It was a great lunch, more, I mean, for 2 adults. Yes, they were trying to eat it. One child, she was so kind. She immediately shared her dish with another girl. And this is how it is. The parents, they want to secure their children with lunch, and there was those who shared were happy. Because once when we share, there is no entity inside. Owning, There's matter inside. There's entity. In sharing, there is no divisions. There's this only happening. There's no me and you. There is no, let's say, Ukraine kid, Russian kid, Ethiopian. Just moving with the noodles on the table, up the table, with the chicken, out of the chicken. The beautiful moment is to share. Yes. What for? They were laughing so hard about the noodles, about the shape of the noodles. They were trying with this plastic fork to move the noodle from one side of the table to the other side. It fell on the table. It fell on the shirt. What a mess. But they were so happy. They were so happy. I think how do you say? The heaviest thing is, and the most illusionary thing is that someone cannot share. It brings a lot. It brings a lot of, I don't know, like grudge. If people are incapable to share, it doesn't matter even what, even a burden, even if they think they have a trouble, or even they're really in trouble. If someone cannot share something, it brings a lot of load, a lot of animosity. Because it's not ours, anyways. It's not our lives, meaning my life. It's not my personal experience. It's not, so to speak, a name. Just nothing. Just nothing. And sharing is also nothing. And living is also nothing. There is a great quote from the book of James Gray. And there is like text, and between the text, he tries to open his, let's say, those teachings, and there is a text, and between the text, the core text, there is like a dialogue between the maiden, and the sage in China. And the madame says, "Can you please tell me what is the time?" And the sage says, "Now." And she said, "Yes, but can you please tell me what the time is?" And he says, "Now. Now. There is no other time than now." Is this dialogue understood?
Yes. I love that. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
Yes. It's beautiful. There is a beautiful story there about, so to speak, a mother pig and piglets. They share the story to show us, to share what life is about. There's a story about a pig that was having piglets, and they were suckling milk, 8 or something, suckling milk. And suddenly she just passed, stopped breathing, passed, stopped living. Immediately, all the piglets turned their heads from her and moved. They noticed that she's not animated anymore. There's no movement of life. And they moved away. So what is life? Is animation. The pig is not animated. herself. She's animated like all of us by higher power, by the source. Once there is no animation anymore. In a way, there is no empty space between the mother and the piglets, and they notice there's a barrier, there's a cut, there's a matter, there's no space, there's no sharing anymore. Because what is suckling milk is sharing. They notice there's a barrier, there's a dead matter, and they stop suckling and they moved away. We are all being animated. He explains in the book that in the West they called this life force anima, like if somebody has a private ability to live by himself, it's impossible. Nobody is living by his own power, whether it's humans or animals, birds or fish. No. All of us are being animated by the same source, by the same power. Nobody has a special private animation. It's impossible. Any questions or sharing that you'd like to share, Rodrigo, Jill, Abigail?
I'm just grateful that Rodrigo brought up Psalms 19:3. I learned so much today. And also, thank you because when you talked about the sharing and that everything is impersonal, it was like an introduction of a new thought for me because everything is so complicated and so expensive over here. And, I'm always thinking, how can it be simpler? And just thank you for the introduction of a new thought for me to think about.
Yes, Jill, for it's sharing also here. Everything just moved when the year started January, and because of the war, they raised the tax or the VAT because there's a deficit that people supposed to help with. There's a lot of things are going on all over the world. There's rising of prices and sharing all the time, sharing. I remember when we used to be kids, they used to even clothing. Yes, in Tel Aviv, there's also here. There's like recycling. How do you say, compounds, and today in the morning I took one sack, yes, and I put it in the recycling. They take it and they share it, and so there's a lot of sharing. Yes, a lot of sharing. It is, and sharing is releasing the tension. Sharing release a lot of tension because the tension comes from holding. Try to hold into things. There is no need to hold in anything. Everything is just very, very temporary. One single minute, one single second, and there's movement all the time. Sharing. Thank you so much for being with us here today, Rodrigo, Abigail, Jill, Fernando, and friends. And hope to see you soon on Monday. Happy season, warm or cold, wherever you are. Have it a pleasant time with sharing friends and life. Toda and shalom.